All right, folks. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this again. Today is the first day of e-learning, as far as everybody being e-learners today. You're all going to be online. If you're watching this video, you've already clicked on the agenda and you found the video, so that's a good thing. Again, make sure that you are checking that agenda every single day, whether you're in person or not. All right, what we're going to do today, we're going to kind of keep our first online lesson kind of simple today, but this is always something that I like to talk about before we really get deep into some biology topics. In your agenda, you should have a link to this handout. If you are in class, I will give you a hard copy of this if you'd like to have a hard copy of it. If you're at home, if you have a printer, you can print it. But obviously, if you're a complete online learner, I can't physically get to you. So we'll just have to do with what we have. You can always save this. This will be in your buzz course for you, so you'll have access to it on your computer. But some people like to have that hard copy, that actual tangible piece of paper. So I will provide that for my in-class students. Again, if you're at home, you can always print it out if you have a printer, but you don't have to. As long as you have access to it, you can see it, you're fine. Anyway, what I want to do today is sort of introduce you to vocabulary. In biology, you're gonna come across a lot of new words that you've never seen before. Maybe you have and you just don't know what they mean, or maybe they're just terms that you have never heard of in your life. And I think one of the I guess harder things about this class is because it's so vocabulary based that if you don't learn the terms, I mean, you really could struggle. All right. Um, and that's why I think kind of learning a little bit about how to approach vocabulary is kind of an important thing. And it doesn't just go for this class, it can go for, English and history and any other class, I suppose, as well. But in biology, it's kind of a big deal. So, what you have here in front of you is a list of what we call biology root words, prefixes and suffixes or parts of words that all have meanings. And if you look at this list, there's a lot of them. Okay. Um, we're not going to make you memorize them all. Okay. But our hope is as we go through the year, we become more and more familiar with a lot of these roots, so that if we come across a word, for example, all right, I'm going to use one of the more common roots. This one right here, okay, bio. I mean, this is biology, right? So that root word is in the name of our course, right? The term bio means living or life, and if you look over here on the right hand side, you see this suffix logy, logy. That means the study of. I mean, you guys have probably seen logy in a whole bunch of other words. I mean, there's I mean, I don't know, hydrology. In fact, if I go down here, I know it's down here somewhere. There it is. Hydro. Hydro is water. So hydrology is the study of water. I mean, there are people whose job they're called hydrologists, and they're people who study water. I don't know what they study, but maybe chemical composition or pollution or whatever, right? I mean, a biologist, bio, biology is someone who studies life. So in this class, I mean, just the term biology, we can break it down into its roots. And if we understand what those roots mean, we'll have a much better understanding of what the word is. I'm going to give you another example here. All right, hopefully you can all see this. Okay. Here's a word that maybe you've heard of, or maybe you haven't heard of. Okay, it's called osteoporosis. Now, osteoporosis is a big science word. Okay, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't heard of it, I don't know, whatever. But it's a good example of a word that's kind of a big vocab term, and maybe we've never seen it before. But if we're familiar with some of these roots, then maybe understanding that term is a little bit easier. Okay, now in the term osteoporosis, there's actually three roots. You can kind of see it here on my card. I've actually underlined the three roots: osteo, por, and osis. Okay, so kind of just looking at our sheet here, let's kind of look up some of those roots and maybe it'll help us understand what the term means. Well, here's osteo. Right in the middle of the page here, it says it means bone. So whatever osteoporosis is, it's got something to do with bones. Okay, whatever. This is what it means. Here, right above it actually is osis. It's osteoporosis, so that suffix there, osis, it means disease. So now we've got part of our word that means bone and part of our word that means disease. So osteoporosis is something dealing with a disease of the bone. Okay. And we've also got that other word part, por, P-O-R, which is also on this sheet here. It means hole or opening. So, we've got these three roots. Well, again, you can kind of see if I raise up a bit. Osteo, which means bone. Por, which means hole or opening. And then osis, which means disease. So you can probably, by knowing maybe just one or two of those roots, you probably could give me a pretty good definition. Okay. In fact, let's take a look here and see what Google says. You know, osteoporosis. What does osteoporosis mean? It says osteoporosis literally means porous bone. Bone that has holes in it. It says it's a disease in which the density and quality of bone are reduced. As bones become more porous and fragile, the risk of fracture is greatly increased. They even show a little picture of it over here. Basically, if you have osteoporosis, your bone is becoming very brittle, maybe because there's these holes in it or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a master of osteoporosis or anything. I'm not all knowledgeable about it, but if I know the roots, it kind of gives me a pretty good idea of what that term means. Okay, so that's kind of why I think it's really important to kind of learn as many of these as we can. And again, I'm not going to make you memorize every one, but we're going to do a couple of exercises today on Buzz that will at least introduce you to some of these, and hopefully some of these will sink in. Because I tell you right now, just about every single one of these, in fact, I would probably even say every one of them, at some point this year, you will come across a vocab word with at least one of these roots in it. You know, so I mean, like today, I talked about biology. I mean, here's a couple more terms here. And some words that maybe you've heard of before, maybe you haven't. Photosynthesis. Let's just take a look at photosynthesis. Right? You've heard of that word before, photosynthesis, but let's look up the roots. Right? Photo. Where you got photo? Here it is. Photo means light. Right? Synthesis means to build or create. Now, we probably know from middle school science right? What kind of organisms photosynthesize, right? Plants, right? Plants photosynthesize. So what do plants do when they photosynthesize? They create or they build food for themselves. That's what they're doing, right? So it's the way a plant makes its own food. But what does the plant need to produce that food? They need sunlight, right? So the term photosynthesis kind of makes sense. To create or to build something using sunlight or using light, that's what photosynthesis is. So again, breaking it down, by the prefixes and suffixes or the roots, it kind of makes it a little bit easier. Hydrology was another one of the words I put on this card. We talked about that one already. And then I've got a word here, maybe you've heard of before, cytoplasm. You might remember from studying cells, maybe in middle school. In fact, here, let's look at one of our roots here, cyte or cyto. It means cell. So if you see that prefix anywhere, it means cell. Okay. Plasm, here's plasm on the right-hand side. It's a gel-like liquid. So if I said, hey, give me a definition of cytoplasm, and you might say, oh, well, it's like a jelly-like liquid inside of a cell, right? I mean, that's exactly what it is. So we'll talk more about what cytoplasm is down the road, but that's a pretty good definition, right? It's a liquid inside of the cell. So again, using these roots, I think, has a major advantage to getting you to understand some of the vocabulary. And we want to learn as many of these as we can. And I'm not going to make you memorize it, but I want you to look at this from time to time, and maybe some of these will sink in. Okay, and that would be a good thing. All right, now what I want you to do today, and this is in your agenda, there are two buzz assignments dealing with these roots. They're kind of vocabulary based assignments, but it kind of gets you to use this sheet and hopefully to become familiar with some of these root words and how they can help you with the vocabulary. All right, I'm gonna let you guys work on that for the rest of the day today. So again, those two assignments, if I would say they probably won't take you more than maybe 20 or 30 minutes at most. So after you watch this video, you'll work on those, and that'll be your assignments for today, the first day of e-learning. All right, guys, have a good day, and hopefully I'll see you guys either tomorrow or on a Friday. Adios, amigos. Have a good one.